The Terminator is often regarded as a relic of the 1980s due to its synthesizer music, B-movie gore, and horror film tropes. But look a little closer and you'll find that it's actually quite an artistic film. In this video, I'm going to break down the film's color scheme, editing, dark humor, unique choices, and surprisingly profound love story. By the end, not only will you be able to appreciate the Terminator in a way you never have before, but you'll also understand how you can watch films in a way that reveals their hidden layers of artistry. And knowing this can change the way you approach films altogether.
You're kidding me.
So to start, let's take a closer look at the film's color schemes. A color scheme is a film's deliberate use of specific colors to create a particular visual style, define certain characters, and/or symbolize themes. The way the Terminator uses color is predominantly through its costumes and lighting. Terminator's clothes are strictly limited to black, gray, and brown to reflect his lack of emotion and humanity, which makes sense considering his human exterior hides an unfeeling machine. Reese, on the other hand, wears green, which symbolizes his identity as a soldier. That being said, after the shootout in the police station, he dons a blue coat because for the rest of the film, the way he interacts with Sarah changes from regarding her purely as a military assignment to admitting his love for her and thereby undertaking a traditional masculine role in their relationship. Blue, often associated with masculinity, contrasts with the bright pink traditionally associated with femininity, which Sarah wears throughout the film. But notice, in the final scene of the movie, the abundance of pink has mostly faded away because after everything she has been through, she has shed her identity as a typical young woman and taken on the role of a hardened, organized mother of the future. Her blue dress even seems to echo Reese's coat, perhaps symbolizing that she is now undertaking traditional masculine traits in preparation for the challenges ahead. In addition to the character's clothing, color is also purposefully used in the film's lighting. Blue light dominates all scenes set in 2029 AD to establish a dark and pessimistic view of the future. In the present day, blue light is used not just to mark the arrival of the Terminator and Reese from the future, but also to mark their presence when they both come into contact with Sarah Connor. In the tech-noir scene, notice how blue light flashes only on the Terminator's face. And appears as a flashing strobe light behind Reese when Sarah spots him inside. It is therefore fitting that the arrival of the future in Sarah's present is highlighted by the presence of this color. The color red also plays a significant role in the film's lighting, especially in emphasizing Sarah as a target. It flashes on her like a warning threat when she sees Reese inside the club, whom she initially believes is her would-be killer, and again when the Terminator points his handgun in her face, its laser sight matching the red glow of his mechanical eyes and vision, and marking her as his prey. In a later scene in which a Terminator infiltrates Reese's bunker, blue and red are used simultaneously to emphasize the color palette for this horrific dystopian world to come. Just as color plays a crucial role in establishing the film's emotional tone, so too does the editing. The tech-noir scene stands out as one of the most captivating parts of the film, perhaps because it's where the three main storylines finally converge. After a series of long, slow-motion shots to build tension, the editing rapidly cuts between Reese firing, the Terminator taking damage, Sarah reacting, and everyone in the club running for their lives. There's a brief moment of respite when the Terminator falls to the ground, but this is quickly followed by a return to fast cuts, alternating between the Terminator shooting at Reese, Reese ducking for cover, and the frantic crowd fleeing the club. Of interest here is that every shot is a fast cut except for when the Terminator realizes that if he doesn't stop trying to kill Reese, Sarah will escape. Another example of effective cutting is the transition from the present to the future when Reese gazes at a machine at a construction site. As the camera tilts down and reveals human skulls under the machine's treads, we realize we have just seamlessly transported to 2029 AD, without needing a cue card to tell us. As the scene builds in intensity, so do the speed of the cuts. Finally culminating in a moment of helpless and unbearable pain, the film cuts back to the present as Reese jolts awake, snapping the viewer and Reese out of his nightmare. To allow the tension to subside, the remaining shots in the scene play for considerably longer than they did in the dream. Editing is often said to be most effective when the viewer doesn't even notice it. But sometimes calling attention to the edit can evoke an emotion that otherwise wouldn't arise. This is exactly what occurs following the classic line,
"I'll be back."
As it's the first time in the film that the Terminator doesn't immediately force his will upon whoever is in his way, which feels eerily out of character. Something is needed here to build tension, and that something is a jump cut. Consider how this scene would have felt without cutting to the pencil twice. It's okay, but it lacks a bit of tension. Now watch it again with the jump cut in. Do you see the difference? Cutting between two nearly identical shots is purposely jarring. It's meant to hit us on a subconscious level where we realize before we even see it that something is very off. And this is why calling attention to the edit works very well in this particular case. The tension established by this jump cut carries us through the entire police station's shootout, and is ultimately diffused with a fade to black as the Terminator casually walks away from the carnage he unleashed, which highlights his lack of remorse and unstoppable power. Notice how this feeling would not have landed as effectively had the scene ended with a cut rather than a fade. Dissolves are also used to effectively transition from the present to the future and back. The last sequence set in 2029 AD starts by dissolving from Sarah's face to the opening shot of the film. To transition back to the present though, the sequence doesn't simply dissolve back to Sarah's face, but morphs from a photograph of her future self to her actual face in the present day, which reinforces the connection between Sarah and the role she will play in the apocalyptic future. It may seem odd, but despite the film's nightmarish story and tone, somehow it manages to contain a great deal of humor. After all, how could there not be something a little funny about a killer robot's attempts to fit in with the general public of 1984?
Your clothes. Give them to me, now.
Anything else?
Phased plasma rifle in the 40-watt range.
Hey, just what you see, pal.
I don't care what you're doing. Come and get me. What the?
More?
Hey, man. You got a serious attitude problem.
Got a dead cat in there or what?
Fuck you, asshole.
Damn! Let's get out of here.
Get out.
It's not just that he epitomizes unnecessary rudeness. It's that he's shockingly oblivious to how much he sticks out like a sore thumb, which is ironic considering he's designed as an infiltration unit. At least he realizes the importance of making sure his hair looks presentable before proceeding to lay waste to a police station. This injection of humor into what is mostly a horror film creates an amusing contrast to its otherwise bleak tone. Perhaps this seems like an odd idea to include, but then again, the film is rife with quite a few unusual choices. First of all, the plot doesn't actually get revealed until 40 minutes into the movie, and it's during a car chase.
I'm here to help you. I'm Reese. You've been targeted for termination.
I didn't do anything.
No, but you will. It's very important that you live.
This is quite an unconventional way of telling a story, and yet, it works. Imagine if the film had started the way its sequel, Terminator 2, did, where the first 2 minutes consist of Sarah narrating everything about the characters and the events to come.
The computer which controlled the machines, Skynet, sent 2 Terminators back through time. The first Terminator was programmed to strike at me in the year 1984, before John was born. It failed. The second was set to strike at John himself when he was still a child. As before, the Resistance was able to send a lone warrior, a protector for John.
This approach works in a sequel because it brings viewers up to speed on past events, but in the original film, this would have destroyed any sense of mystery, which is what makes the first act so compelling. Another unusual choice is the fact that the film's flash forwards to 2029 AD are actually flashbacks in time for Reese, which makes it feel as if the future has already happened while the present remains uncertain. Incorporating an element of time travel will, of course, play tricks like this, but for a relatively low-budget horror film, such narrative complexity is unexpected. Perhaps the most unexpected decision of all is casting an A-list actor as the villain rather than the hero, and limiting him to only 16 lines of dialogue.
Nice night for a walk. Nothing clean, right? Your clothes. Give them to me, now. The 12-gauge autoloader, the 45 long slide with laser sighting, phased plasma rifle in a 40-watt range, the Uzi 9mm, all wrong. Sarah Connor. I'm a friend of Sarah Connor. I was told that she's here. Could I see her, please?
No.
Where is she? I'll be back. Fuck you, asshole. Give me your address there. Get out.
Although other actors have played Terminators in other installments in the franchise, nobody embodies the character like Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's not just because of his imposing physical presence, but also because of his chilling expressions and robotic movements. Arnold Schwarzenegger may not be considered an Oscar-worthy actor, but he is perfectly cast in this role. Interestingly, director James Cameron initially wanted to cast Arnold Schwarzenegger as Kyle Reese and Lance Henriksen, who plays Vukovich, as the Terminator. Had this happened, the script would have probably been rewritten to make Kyle Reese survive, because it is pretty unlikely that Schwarzenegger would ever play the role of a hero who fails. Of course, Schwarzenegger is certainly allowed to fail if he plays the villain, since villains are expected to lose, and Schwarzenegger as the villain ensures the film will be terrifying. Casting him as the hero, however, tells the audience that we have no reason to be afraid of whoever his opponent is, because we just know that Schwarzenegger isn't going to lose. And this is why The Terminator is a horror film, but its sequel, Terminator 2, is not, even though both films share nearly identical plots. Had Schwarzenegger been cast as Kyle Reese, there would probably never be a Terminator franchise at all, because with Kyle Reese surviving, Schwarzenegger would then never get to play the Terminator. Had this come to pass, the film would be lacking more than just sequels. It would have also lacked the poignancy and artistic depth of its love story. Beyond the fact that it's about a man sacrificing his life for the woman he loves, the true artistry of the love story revolves around the photograph of Sarah. As Reese describes it,
you were young like you are now. You seemed just a little sad. I used to always wonder what you were thinking at that moment.
When we see the picture being taken at the end of the film, we discover precisely what she was thinking of.
Should I tell you about your father? I suppose I will tell you in the few hours that we had together. We loved a lifetime's worth.
She was thinking of him. What an unexpectedly beautiful connection. The photograph encapsulates her love for him, and in turn, it makes him fall in love with her, going so far as to sacrifice his own life to save hers. Who would have thought that a horror film like The Terminator could include such a profoundly touching love story like this? Of all the unusual choices in this movie, perhaps this is the most unexpected one of all. The Terminator may seem like a quintessential product of the 1980s on account of its synth music and gory horror film tropes, but dismissing it as a relic of its time would be a mistake. Beneath its action horror surface lies a carefully constructed work of exceptional depth, from its symbolic use of color and editing to its dark humor, experimental choices, and poignant love story. And now that you know how to look for these hidden layers, you can apply this approach to other films and uncover artistry you never noticed before. The next time you watch a movie, consider looking beyond the plot and special effects and focus on what the colors mean. what meaning is produced from the edit, and what kind of poignant connections are created through seemingly simple plot points. You may just find that your whole perception and appreciation of films could change. If you wanted to, that is. But what do you think? Does learning about these artistic choices improve your perception of the Terminator, or is it still just a 1980s horror flick? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe so you'll be notified when my video that compares the Terminator to Terminator 2 goes live. Because if you think the sequel is an improvement, think again. I'll post the link in the video description once it's up. Hope to see you there.